So we finally made it to Glacier National Park, and we got there on a Thursday. We actually were camping at the Kalispell Fairgrounds for $25 a night. They had electricity, which was important because the temperatures were soaring into the 90s. And when we got there on Thursday and set up the Airstream, we decided, let's go right over to Glacier National Park. We were able to get in without a reserved entry ticket after 5 o'clock, and so that's what we did. And we enjoyed several hours, because it stays light for a long time up here, in exploring the west side of Glacier National Park. We got up to the Avalanche campground, and we discovered that the Going to the Sun Road, which is the main attraction at Glacier National Park, was still closed, a good portion of it up to Logan Pass. But we did see a bunch of bicyclists riding their bikes up that section of it, and we thought, oh, that looks kind of cool. So we thought, why don't we plan on bringing our bikes back the next day, and we'll ride that portion of Going to the Sun Road, or at least a portion of that part, because it does go seriously uphill. And so we had started making plans for the next day.
Well, that's when things started to change. That morning I went on the Park Service website, and we had heard rumors of some of the bike guys that were pretty regular there, that had gone up through this trail Memorial Day weekend. They said it was pretty much clear all the way to Logan's Pass as far as snow goes. There were still some boulders, they were still working on the road, the guardrails and stuff, and that the road may be opening pretty soon. We figured, okay, we'd give it a shot. So go online and look, and sure enough, instead of the red line, now it's the black line, meaning the road's open. So we're like, okay, bummer.
So we weren't going to be riding our bikes, but we knew we were going to be driving it.
We knew we were going to be driving the road, so that was fun. But again, without having tickets, we really don't even think about going to the park till 5 o'clock. After the ticketed entry expires. So I'm looking out the window. We're staying at the fairgrounds. I'm looking out the window, and I notice the red buses, the legendary jammer buses for Glacier National Park. And so I walk over and start chatting with some of the people. There's about 7 people there, a combination of guys and gals, and these are the people that are going to be driving the buses. And they're actually taking the driving part of their CDL license. You have to be a CDL driver to haul passengers nowadays. So I'm talking to some of the guys, and one of the guys there, by a guy by the name of David, he's actually the guy that is the director of that particular program there at the park, because it's a concessionary there. It's Xanterra, the concessionaire that does that. And so, and he's like, we're having trouble getting guys. He said, if you'd have been here 3 weeks ago and wanted to drive, I could have been driving a bus this year. But that got me thinking, okay, well, this looks pretty cool. I thought about it. I'd seen the buses. Karen's mother worked at Glacier, and she told us about them. And she actually did a trip up to Canada, because the two parks are connected between Glacier and, I think it's Waterton in Canada, and they actually apparently they do a trip up there. And she drove with a guy, pretty famous, one of the drivers called Jammer Jim. Okay, just a little bit of history there, but it was like, this is a pretty iconic thing, so maybe do this next year. So that may throw our Alaska plans, and this is the first everybody's hearing it, this may throw our Alaska plans for next year on the back burner. We may be going to Glacier. Karen may do some work at maybe the gift shop where her mother worked.
Don't worry about me. The whole point is he wants to be a jammer. So we're going to upheave our plans to Alaska so that he could be a jammer. That's the current thought.
But the really cool part was, this David is such a cool guy. And when they got done, he actually pulled one of the buses over and came in front of the Airstream, and we'll show pictures of it to where it looked like it was hooked up. So you have two icons in American history, the Airstream and the Red Jammer buses, now connected. I don't know if it's been done before, but we did it. So there you go. Now,
So that was two exciting things just in the morning, and our plans had already changed for the day.
and it's not even lunchtime.
Yeah. Well, that later that afternoon, we were going to visit our friends Liz and Paul. They have a very popular YouTube channel called Liz Amazing, and we had met them last year in Washington, saw them again in Palm Springs, saw them again in Washington, and so we're forming a wonderful friendship with them. And we knew that they were staying right outside of West Glacier at an RV resort called Lake 5. And so we thought, okay, on our way into Glacier, we'll visit them for a little while, and then we'll go into Glacier because we can't get in till after 5. On our way to visit them, we passed by a Krispy Kreme shop. What are the chances of North Carolinians passing a Krispy Kreme in Montana? Now, we had seen one in California that we did stop at when we were there, and of course we made plans for the next day that we were definitely going to go to Krispy Kreme and enjoy some of their donuts because, hey, it's a little slice of North Carolina here in Montana. So that was number 3. And then number 4 was obviously seeing Liz and Paul. We had a wonderful visit with them. And while we were visiting with them, the 4 of us decided, hey, why don't we jump in our trucks and drive up these back dirt roads to Polebridge. Polebridge is a little rural town, if you want to call it that, up in the northwestern section. It's on the outside section of Glacier National Park. They're only like 20 miles from Canada, and there's a remote entrance into Glacier National Park up there, but it was apparently closed when we got up there. But we followed it was mostly gravel or hard-packed dirt. There were sections of the road that were washboard and extremely bumpy. It just was really tough to get up there. And on the way up there, we're seeing mailboxes. Not very many, but we did see a couple here and there, and I'm thinking, man, I would hate to be a delivery person with the post office and have this route because it was so rural. We get up to Polebridge, and this is what Polebridge is. It's a mercantile, a little store that sells stuff. They have a world-renowned bakery. We were instructed by my mom to get a bear claw while we were there. They also make pizzas there. There's a saloon next door. Sandwiched between the saloon and the mercantile was one food truck. And then over to the right of the mercantile were like 4 little cabins that apparently people can rent. And behind the cabins are shacks and yurts, and that's where the employees live. And that is it. I mean, literally, that's Polebridge. It was so fun to go up there with Liz and Paul and get some bakery items and eat them up there. But our visit wasn't long because that's it. So that was our visit with Liz and Paul. That was our unexpected trip up to Polebridge. And
so coming back from Polebridge, there's another entry into Glacier on Camish Road. You come down the pretty much hard, it's not a hard surface road, but it's a dirt road that's very well packed, and then you turn into Camish Road, and there's no guard shack, there's no gate entry or anything there, so you can actually go up in there and probably go there before 5 o'clock and get into the park just as well. So we did that, and then we did going to the Sun Road. Coming from the west side, going to Logan Pass, which Logan Pass is the basically continental divide of the area of the United States. So it's a high altitude, well, about 6,600 feet there. But in places, the road is very narrow, and we're in a larger truck, so we actually had to fold our mirrors in a couple places to be able to pass other vehicles. You're that close to the rock face right there. And there's other trucks and other cars. There's actually a couple of illegal RVs going up through there, of which I got a picture of. So we did that, went up to Logan's Pass, hung around up there. There's a big snow field out there that people were walking up to and skiing down or sledding down or just sliding down. There's also a group of longhorn sheep in the area that were kind of moving around, and people were following them. They actually made it to the parking lot, and I got a picture of the butt of one. Seems like I always get the butt of them in the parking lot. And then we're coming back down, and it gets dark in the area about 10:15 or so, but where there's a lot of trees, it gets a little bit more dark. So we're coming down. We're probably about 3/4 of a mile or so up from Lake McDonald Lodge area, and we go around the curve, and all of a sudden there's a moose in the middle of the road. He's kind of walking across, sauntering across. Now we're in a pickup truck, and we're only about shoulder height of this guy, so he's pretty big. I slam on the brakes, and I'm trying to go this way, you know, and then he starts moving across the road, turns and looks at me, and just saunters off into the woods. And we kind of stopped in the other lane. Luckily there's nobody coming, and the guy behind us, he's got his highlights on because he's like, what the heck?
So I did get a picture, but it was not that great of a one, but it's still proof.
Proof, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we came on down and went back to the airstream, and we saw wildlife, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, you know, it's always great to have an idea of what you want to do and have plans, but when you open yourself to just going with the flow and changing your plans, it just makes it a much more adventurous, exciting day. We took obviously a lot of pictures in Glacier, so I'm going to put some at the end of this video. Please enjoy them, and we will see you down the road.
And believe me, the pictures of Glacier do no justice to Glacier. It's just so vast. You have got to go and see it yourself.
And they may need to change the name someday from Glacier National Park, because the glaciers are...
Most of the glaciers are receding.
receding.
A lot of them are gone.
But there's a lot of waterfalls.
Global warming.
Love waterfalls. Take care.
Thank you.